In this video, I'm going to talk about developing with Hyperledger Composer and deploying locally to our locally installed Docker image. In future videos, I'll talk about deploying to a Kubernetes cluster on a public cloud. Right now, we're going to do everything locally, and then we'll build our way up to that. So where we left off, we had Composer Playground started and running. I won't spend a lot of time here because there's a whole tutorial which I think you can go through, which is really good, but just kind of really quick. You can see there's some kind of sample networks that are installed. Here's a link to the tutorial you can do. If you look at some of the sample networks, you see different networks, and they do different things, obviously. But here they kind of tell you what they have. So one participant, one asset type for this network. This one has 3 participants, 3 asset types, so you might want to find something close to something that you actually want to do yourself. I want to create a package tracking type of a network that has 1 participant and 1 asset, so maybe I'll use this network to start with. Now, one of the things with Playground is it lets you run and play around basically with the network. It does not let you actually export the code from here. So one of the things you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get the code for these different networks, and you can get those off of Git. I'll post the link of where to actually download those from. But you'll get a directory called Composer Sample Networks after you download it. You go into there. You see here's all the networks and all the code. So pick the one that matches kind of what you want to do. If you want to do 1 participant, 1 asset, pick that one. Make a copy of it. What I did, created my own projects directory, and I want to do package tracking, so I created a tracking network and put everything in there. So with that, then I can open up my code. You'll see there's a package JSON file. I named it tracking network, version 001. Gave it a little description here of package tracking business network. There's a model file I created. Again, 1 asset, 1 participant. My asset is a package in this case. I created that, created the package ID, customer ID, shipping status is an enumeration type that I created of either created, in transit, or delivered. It's the current status of the package. And then my shipper owns the package. So shipper's responsible. He's the owner of the package until it actually gets delivered to the customer. And the shipper has a company ID and a company name. And then I have a couple different transactions, one just to change it to in transit, one just to change it to delivered for the status. And you can see those here in the logic. So basic update, I take the shipment in, I change the status, and then I update the registry. Same thing for delivered, update it to delivered and update the registry. A couple different queries. You can select all the packages here. I created this. I created select packages by shipper. Thought it might be interesting, as well as maybe I want to search by customer. So have that as well. And then this one with all show package, all history. This is based off the historian. So Composer has something called the historian that's built into it, and it keeps track of everything that goes through Composer. It's kind of a neat little, almost like a log that you can get a history of if you want. So basic code, just to kind of give us an idea of what we need to do and what you can do here when you're actually going through development. So let's go ahead and switch over. We're going to do some command line work, and you can see I did a Composer card list. This is my pure admin card for my Bluemix network. We're going to ignore that right now since we'll deploy to that later. And that's when we're going to be doing Kubernetes. Right now, this is the one that we're going to use. This is my local one. So HLF, Hyperledger Fabric V1. This gets created for us automatically when we did our install and start. So we have that, and it's already put into our Composer wallet, which is good for us. The wallet contains all the different cards for our different business networks as well as our peer, and it's based on kind of the ability of, or separation of concerns really, and separation of roles and responsibilities. So the peer admin control everything with the peer node itself. But we'll see later we'll create a business network admin. The business network admin is the one that we actually use to connect to the business network and start the business network. So let's go ahead and create our archive. Right now we have all of our code and we switch to directory. So I'm in my tracking network directory. I'll go ahead and create my archive. So I do composer archive creates, do it locally, and that created the tracking network BNA file right there. That stands for Business Network Archive. Okay, now this is a kind of an interesting concept here. So we're writing everything in Node now. Fabric itself requires the Go language. If we use Fabric Composer, think of it as Composer like a container that sits on top of the base fabric that runs our code, our actual business network. The Composer allows us, if we use that, it is optional, but if we use it, which I'm doing now, it allows us to use something other than Go, in which I'm using Node, so I'm using Node.js. So that's kind of a little bit of the architecture, the way it works. You have Fabric, you have a Composer runtime that sits on top of that, and then the actual business network gets installed into that runtime, Composer runtime. So that means we have to actually install the Composer runtime. So we do Composer runtime, install, peer admin, Hyperledger Fabric v1, that's our card name, and we can give it a name of the network, tracking network. And this will, like it says, take a minute. This is actually, again, installing our runtime onto the actual fabric itself. So that worked. We'll do a Composer network start, and we give it the card peer admin at Fabric v1. We're also going to need our network admin. So this is our business network admin, remember. And we're defining that now. Admin and a password. We need the actual archive file, which is tracking network at 0.0.1, which we just created. Then we need a file name for the admin card that is going to get created, and we'll need to import into our wallet. So that looks good. Everything is running, and we will go ahead and start the business network here. This does use up a lot of resources on your machine, so I would say make sure you have things closed down. Okay, so we went ahead and we started it, and interesting now, again, we'll list our Composer card. It's not in there, so we need to do a Composer card import. And we'll give it a file name of network admin card, that was thing that was just created, and we'll give it a name of admin at local, so we know this is our local one. So if I take a look, it is now in my wallet. It's part of the tracking network, and that's how I'm going to go ahead and connect to this network. So in the next video, I'll show you how to actually connect to it and how we can start doing some testing on the network itself and test out some of the functionality. Thanks.